Hello, good morning, good day, good afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. Glorious new widgets in OBS, if that's what they're called, or maybe plugins. So hopefully you've been enjoying those. And we've got the same mic and the same headset, but no longer are we having to rely on multiple little programs to try and clean up the terrible audio. So I am hoping that when you respond in chat as to whether the mic is clear, you're going to say, "It's beautiful, Jim. It's lovely. The best you've ever sounded." So let me know. Let me know in the old chat. Oh, Roy's responded that it sounds good. Fabulous. Now, problem we had in previous mic was that it was kind of peaking out and stuttering and clipping, and even though it wasn't peaking out in my meters, so hopefully it's not doing any of that. Anyway, you all know what you're here for. We're here for round two. It's the fantastic AMS unofficial combo. Of course, being the AMS unofficial admin, I'm not biased, but yeah, we have the wonderful BMW M1 Procar, one of the best cars in AMS2, and we've paired it with an absolutely beautiful track, which is the Kyalami 1976 Historic. Oh, my meter's just peaked there. I'm not sure if you got some distortion at the end. Hopefully not. I'll listen back later to see if it did. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we've got, the combo. That's what we're choosing for round two. I've actually done plenty of practice this, and I was top of the blooming practice leaderboard till that darn noodle took the top spot away from me. So yeah. Yeah, it is one of the best tracks for you, but I also know, because you've told me, that it was on your list, but we just got the nomination in before you managed to make your own nomination, so you had to do a switcheroo in your track. Anyway, enough waffle. There is a few bits of extra things we're doing today. Now, unfortunately, although it is an absolutely corker of a track, Kyalami 1976, there is one downside to it, which is it only has a grid size, a maximum number of cars of 26. Obviously, two servers, that puts us at a maximum grid of 52 people. That has to include the broadcasters as well, and we have 3 broadcasters in total this time. Server 1 will have 2 broadcasters, Harm and Jonas, and server 2 will have the wonderful Quarto from New Zealand doing that one. So by the time we factor that all in, we obviously have a limited number of free spots for the reserve drivers and the independent drivers. So yes, we've got to this time, because there's a chance that not everybody who wanted to drive will get on track, we will be randomising the order of the independents and reserve drivers, and that order will then be used to fill in the spare slots, and that includes one team needing a spare driver. That's the racing engineers TRE need a spare driver, so whoever is top spot of the reserves or independents will get the option to race for TRE as a driver. Now that I say that, I stress that is an option. They can turn it down if they want to, as always. We don't force anybody to race for another team, but so far nobody has ever done so. People are always happy to help each other out when they need to. But yes, if they were to turn it down, then the next driver in the list would get a go. Also, to add to this, there have been 2 drivers who are reserves who have said, one of them said that they are reserve of last resort, you might call it. So for their team, that's 10 tenths. That's Dazad's, who has said that he's struggling to make it, so he's only kind of wanting to race if 10 tenths need him. So he's reserve of last resort and isn't going to be in that reserve list, as it were, for the spare places. And there's one driver for MVRC who has said he's quite happy to tune in and be there if there's available space, but he's not hugely concerned about being on the server. That is Savage Paddy, so he has asked to be at the back of the list, so that does help things a little bit. Anyway, let's switch the view over. Oh great, it has worked. Oh, now look at that. Is that a histogram or an equalizer bars? It's my voice. I've been playing, can you see I got carried away with plugins? But anyway, hopefully that's not going to interfere too much with your enjoyment, shall we say, and it's not too distracting at the bottom there. What we've got on the screen then is all the drivers that have been nominated by the various communities. For 10 tenths, we've got their list there: AMSU, Club 50, KCSR, MVRC. So the 2 green ones, that's Dazad, who is reserve of last resort and therefore won't be in this reserve list down here, this blue list here, when I do the random draw, and Savage Paddy will be put at the back of the list. Let's scroll a little bit further over so it's all seen on the stream. Hopefully I haven't made any mistakes, but it's kind of a way to document it. So we've got MVRC, as I said, NART, RPM, RRC, SRGP, SSR, slip, TRE, and then the independents there at the end. Okay, so over here, this is the list of drivers who are going to be randomized for the spare places. That's all the reserve drivers plus the independents. Okay, and then you can see down here at the bottom, we've got server 1 and server 2, and that's the broadcasters. So Jonas and Harm will be the broadcasters, and server 2 will be Quarto. As always, I know you guys do appreciate their efforts. They put a huge amount of work in. They give up their time just to commentate so that you guys can hopefully watch it back and get some glory if you've had a good battle. Okay. When I click this button here, everything will be randomized, and what we're going to do is the first click is a test click. It's just to make sure it's working, so this is not going to happen, but I just want to confirm that it's definitely random. So let's put that on, and as you know, the only two people that aren't random is myself. I always go in server 1, and Roy, who always goes in server 2. So let's have a quick look at this order here. So Trained Monkey, Lausanne, Slayer. So if I unclick it and click it again, let's see if it's a different order. Yes, Lausanne, Chris, Blue Fear. Okay, so as you can see, it's definitely randomizing. So people might have seen their names where they wanted them or not, but those weren't the official clicks. So here we go. Good luck, everybody. Let's do that random draw now. There we go then. So server 1, that has for 10/10 Redacted and Extreme Games, myself and Grandpa Bear for AMSU. Club 50 is Chris Bloom and Pedro, Blankfile and Johnny for KCSR. Oh, that's going to be a hard fought battle for victory with those two drivers there. MVRC, S2000 and Minimus, Tinez and the mighty Evil Noodle, who has currently got the fastest timer. We did last night when I looked anyway on the practice server for round 2 combo. RPM is Raptor and Neon Dream. RRC, you've got Michelle and Danielle. Andy GH for SRGP and Ricky Risotto. Dikra and Kafalor for SSR. Bill and Laurie for Slip, and Tom Goodwrench, and then the spare slot. Now that spare slot, as you can see, the top of the list is AMSU Lausanne. He is, excuse me, top of the waiting list order, so AMSU Lausanne will get the first option to race for TRE. Then over on server 2 we've got Lag Slug and Linus Filamento for 10T. MSU's got Pavel and Franco. I say I only know these details because it's my team, but Franco, he was the one that scored the points in round 1 after MSU's not so great performance. Me with techie issues, and all of us kind of struggling with the weather apart from Franco. So Franco hopefully going to sort it out for us on server 2. Norman and Pablo for Club 50. Bruce Law and Glenn for KCSR. JK and Pete M. Cracking combo there on server 2. They might be looking for a win. That's for MVRC. Nessie and Badoshk for NRT, Roy and Fancy Jake for RPM, Mattia and Mauro for RRC, SRGP have got Alpha Signal and Carapau, Statue and Dustin for SSR, Jakob and Chris Jezza for Slipstream, and Grumpy and Hairy for TRE. I know it's boring me reading those all out, but that is partly so because if I click anything or copy or do anything on this spreadsheet, it re-randomizes. Now what we're going to do, hopefully I don't mess it up, is we're going to copy all of these and then we're going to paste it back in place, and what that will do is save it forever if I get it right. There we go. Now it doesn't matter if I randomize this again, look, because they've been copied and pasted in, it is ignoring those in, so I've copied the values in. That was going to make my life easier. I didn't do that on the first round, so it re-randomized as soon as I pressed a button, or as soon as I loaded back into the spreadsheet, which meant I had to use the stream to find out what had happened. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Get yourself on the practice server. It's been up for a while. The race, a little bit of info for those that have been generous enough to tune in. Oh, got 9 million viewers. Nice one, guys. But yes, so let's give you some info since you've taken the time out on your Saturday to tune in. It is a dry event, but it is variable cloud. So nothing that's going to hopefully make a massive difference to how the car behaves or anything like that. But, you know, hopefully add a little bit of interest with changing track temperatures and things like that. It starts early morning and ends, well, it's sunrise to sunset would be the best way to describe it. So, might be worth making sure your graphic settings aren't tuned too high, shall we say, to look too lovely in case your computer struggles with the sunrise and sunset times. It does look absolutely stunning. So that's why we've done it. And again, it is nice to have those track temperatures change and add a bit of variability as you go through the race. Hey Tinez, thank you for tuning in, my friend. Personal shout out to Tinez. Woo! Then let's give you some info on what might work with tactics. I spent quite some time going through this race format to try and make it so there was multiple tactical options. It is a fixed lap limited race, so it's 44 laps, not time but lap limited, and that means you probably going to need some fuel saving unless you've got some ability that I don't have, to do a one stop. One stop is possible, but it needs fuel saving. Two stop is obviously quite straightforward, but then you got two stops to do. However, tyre wear is also set quite high, so one stop is definitely possible. Your tyres aren't going to wear out unless you're locking up all the time. As always, we know locking up in AMS2 certainly flat spots and adds a high wear to the tyre. So if you can avoid locking up and you can do a bit of fuel saving or sit in people's draft, which at Kyalami 76 is definitely an option, then you would have a chance of doing a one stop option, but your tyres are going to be pretty worn by the time you pit. Whereas those that gamble on the two-stop option, they'll have the fresher tyres. For parts of the race, they're going to have less fuel in the tank. And I've done multiple tests, and I think they're about evenly balanced. There's very little in it, depending on which option you choose. So maybe you'll be deciding on the fly as to, you know, if you're stuck behind somebody not able to overtake, maybe you kind of go into the pits early and commit to a two-stop. Or maybe you don't, maybe you kind of see them pit and think, right, that's it, I'm going to just fuel save and sit behind them and then do a one-stop strategy. Anyway, as always, Tinez usually tells me I should not tell everybody the secret strategies, but as I say, I know the strategies because I'll put the event together, and it's hopefully, if I've got it right, deliberately set up to make it interesting. Who knows what people are going to do. That's right, yeah, about 5.2 litres of that, man. But in case, again, people may not be aware, but we know from previous experience of previous events, where we've got quite a high tyre multiplier, which I think it's set to ×3 or ×4, then your tyre wear in the practice server is usually higher than you will experience in the race. I have informed Riser of this. There's something not quite right with how it does the tyre wear. I don't know if it's because on the practice server we fixed the track to heavily rubbered or what, I don't know. But your tyre wear is not going to be low, but in the race it shouldn't be as significant as you might be experiencing in the practice server, just so you're aware. If you want to spend the time and effort into setting up a offline single player, whatever you want to call it, duplicate of the race with the same multipliers, then you can see all that info on Just Race. If you click the little image for the event, it'll tell you all that info. But yeah, that's definitely, we had an event last year that involved some F1 historic F1 type cars, and the tyre wear in practice meant that you could maybe get 5 laps on the soft, and maybe 10 laps on the medium, but in the race you could do certainly close to double that. It was a lot lower. But as I say, I have tested. The tyre wear is a factor that you have to take in. Fresh tyres and two stops and no fuel saving, just flat out racing, or bit of fuel saving, one stop and your tyres aren't so good, but you're saving some time in the pits. Who knows? Anyway, enough of my waffle. 20 minutes of streaming. Fuel pit glitch, that should have been resolved. I've been reliably informed that's been fixed, and thanks to many reports and detailed info from many of the people that use Just Race. So yeah, I did quite a detailed report when we saw it happen, and because people had streamed it happening, one of the devs that works on that code was able to find, I think, 2 if not 3 related bugs that caused it. So as far as I know, that's what Roy says as well. Yeah, that is fixed. Roy's on the beta test team, so he's informed. But yes, you would always want to try and make sure you set up that pit strategy. What we used to do, as I say, it shouldn't be needed. What people used to advise was to, when they are on track, obviously they select their strategy and they cycle the tyres. So they go, you change it to wet and then back to slicks, so that it definitely knows what you're meant to be doing. Whether you actually need to do that anymore or not, I don't know. But as I say, I am reliably informed and haven't experienced it recently where it doesn't do the strategy that you're wanting to. Okay, Right. Yeah, let's leave it there. Thank you everybody for tuning in, 10 million of you. We'll get those servers opened up for registering as soon as I can. I just got to get all that details posted, which will take me about 20 minutes. And then I got to go and cook a roast dinner because the wife's family's visiting, so so I'm going to be a busy boy. But probably not tonight, but tomorrow I'm hoping to hop on that practice server and turn some laps, and just maybe we can knock that noodly off the top spot. I think he's on the top spot. Should we have a quick look before we end the stream? Let's do that. Quick look at Noodly Doodly's fastest lap. I was so gutted because I got an absolute. Oh, I'm not even second. I'm third now. Oh, Noodle. Noodle's still top with a 21.2. I got a 21.3 and thought, oh yeah, nice lap. And then Noodle knocked me off. And then Franco, well, he's my teammate. I guess I can let him off. But he's knocked me down a peg or two there as well. Right, chaps, we're definitely leaving there. Go and enjoy your Saturdays. Looking forward to Wednesday. My tech issues are fixed. I'm not going to be braking all the time as I go around the track. And, well, we kind of know that turn one at Kyalami can be a little bit of a disaster zone, but we all know we're experienced drivers. There's 44 laps of racing ahead, so I'm sure, and I'm hoping we're not all going to pile into that turn one and send whoever's off on the outside off into the gravel. We're going to do our best to keep it super clean, because even with the weather, the round one event was really clean, I believe, on both servers, apart from one driver who had a bit of a tech issue, and that caused a little bit of an accident on one of the servers early on. But certainly it wasn't down to driving standard, it was down to technical reasons. Anyway, definitely need to stop talking, Jim. Have a good one, guys. See you on track soon. And if you are going on the practice server, stick a post on the Discord letting people know, because it's always nice to do a few laps with other people. Test out that drafting effect. Have a good one, guys. Bye bye.